I'm Michael Magyar, and this is the Glass Studio in Cape Cod. And today I'm going to show you how to make a round vase. Inside the furnace is a large crucible. It holds about 300 pounds of glass. And I'm going to gather a little bit out to start the bubble. So obviously, you see I have to turn it, otherwise it's going to fall right off the pipe. And now I'm just kind of centering it. And then I'm going to blow it. It takes very little pressure to blow it. People think you have to have strong lungs and blow real hard. It's so hot at this stage that it's so simple to actually blow out. You really have to take your time and let it cool a little bit before you blow it. So I'm just shaping it to like a little bit of a cylinder. Looks good. Now I'm going to apply the color. And the colors I have are in these little bowls here. So I'm going to hang this up so it stays nice and straight. I'm going to gather a little bit of glass out, and simply by rolling it into this bowl, what we call is glass frit, it sticks right to the hot glass. And then very quickly it's going to melt into the clear. Again, you can marble it by letting it drip like this and then winding it back up. And that kind of gives you a little bit of a marble look. Now it's all melted in. I'm going to take my bubble. I'm going to go sit at the bench. And I'm going to apply this pretty much right in the middle. And very quickly, I'm going to do kind of my wave motif. And you have to do this very quick because the glass cools so fast. So that's about as much time as I get out of doing this pattern. And you can see it now, it's getting really hard. Really can't really twist it much more. So that's the pattern there. You always want to keep your tools cold because they get really hot. And we'll put this in the bucket. Now I'm going to gather on top of this. And that's what we say. We say we gather by turning the pipe in the glass. It sticks to it. And you come out. Now you have a little more glass over your color in your first bubble. Again, I'm just centering the hot gather. And then if the pipes get warm, we have a little pipe cooler here. And that just allows you to hold it a little higher up near the glass, and which makes it a little lighter proportionally. Give it a little bit of a puff just to kind of bring it back. We're not going to really blow it hard right now. The most important thing to do is to get, we call it a jack line in. These are called jacks, and I'm putting a jack line in. This is so critical to get this piece off when I'm ready to transfer it. So once you get a nice thin line in here, you can really kind of relax now, but that's the most important part of the beginning of a piece of glass, is to be able to get that tight jack line, because you'll see in a minute or two how that's going to change when I go to transfer it. Now I'm just heating up my color, and I want to blow out my shoulder a little more so I can go into this cart. This is a paper box. So I can roll it, cool the bottom, and then blow out my shoulder. So much of glass making is waiting. You're waiting to heat it up, you're waiting to cool it down, and you're working it very fast in between those 2 points. So I'm gonna let it cool a little bit, so I have my, you notice how my shoulder's nice and round, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna heat up this half and then swing it, and that's gonna elongate that bubble. If I don't let that cool, I'm gonna lose my shoulder, and that's gonna be a problem later, because I'm getting it prepared to do a round vase. And how do you know it's hot or cold? By just stopping and watching it move. You'll learn, how fast it moves according to how hot it is. So I'm gonna just heat up the middle half of that, and then I'm gonna swing it and let that elongate. And that will stretch out the pattern I put in with the bubbles and the color. Again, you're waiting for it to cool, waiting for it to heat up. Glass is about seconds, it's about minutes, it's about hours. It's all very time sensitive material when you're working it or when you're cooling it. So every now and then I'll just stop and watch it fall, and that kind of tells me how hot it is. I want to elongate this. Of course, you can just go like this and just hold it, and it will get longer. The gravity will pull that bubble down. But if I give it a little swirl like this, you can see how fast that pulled that down. And it really opened up my pattern of colors. I have a blowing pit here, so I can go down on this piece of graphite and blow it out. And again, this is wet newspaper. It helps me shape it. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So you're gonna make half of your piece. See how big we are? Yeah, it's a little short. I'm gonna make a 9-inch vase. So that's 9 inches right here, but you have to count that I'm gonna lose a little bit when I transfer it and open. So now I'm a little longer. That's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna finish my bottom, and then we're gonna transfer it to what we call is a punty pipe. And today I'm working alone, so there's a couple ways you can put on the punty to the bottom of this. Glass is usually a team effort. It's a little cold, let me go reheat it. Cold is a relative word in here. At 1,500 degrees, that's cold. First run's about 2150. glass will start to move. For this type of glass I'm using, it will start to move around 1,000 degrees. It'll start to bend a little bit. But to get it really fluid and molten, you really need at least 2,000 or more. Like I said, usually it's 2150. So I'm just centering it. I'm back nice and hot, flattening the bottom. This is a piece of cherry wood. It's a nice fine grain. It doesn't leave any marks like pine could leave. The sap in the pine could leave a lot of marks on the bottom. So okay, I'm ready to transfer it. I'm gonna hang this up. Get my file ready. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of glass to this. And then I'm gonna marver it to shape it a little bit. And that looks pretty good. So I feel like my piece is a little cold. So I'm gonna put this in the pipe warmer, keep it warm. And I'm gonna flash this. We call flashing the piece is putting it in the furnace and bringing it back up a little hotter. I felt like it could have been a little cold. This is a very delicate maneuver, transferring the piece from the blowpipe to the punty. Timing is very important. So now I've got a little more color in the glass, a little more red color. I know it's hot. I'm gonna get my punty, give that a little bit of heat as well. No. And then you bring it over to the bench. You roll it. Roll it, roll it. I got it. You stick that punty right in the middle of that bottom. And since they're both nice and hot, they're gonna stick. A little bit of water on that pipe, and it breaks off. So now the piece has a hole in it. You've blown a bubble, and now you have a hole that you're gonna heat up and form. And we call that punting the piece. This is called a punty. Old English would call it a pontal. And that's how often you can tell a handmade piece of glass by the mark on the bottom of the piece. And I'm just waiting for it to heat back up. I gotta keep the piece kind of warm, so you'll see me go in there frequently just to keep it hot and warm while I'm heating up my lip. How do I know it's hot or ready? By simply stopping and watching how fast it's dropping from the gravity. The reason we turn it, obviously, is to avoid the gravity. I always thought it'd be funny to blow glass in space without gravity. I guess it'd be kind of tough to keep glass in the furnace, though, huh? Okay, so I'm gonna go down to the bench, and I'm gonna use my jacks, the same tools I use to make this nice fine line, and just real gently straighten that lip out a little bit. Notice it's not sharp anymore. It's all nice and round. And this is a steam cone. I'm gonna go give it one little flash. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna shape it, and I'm gonna use that piece of wood to blow out the top. You can kind of hear it puffing because the water's expanding, causing the steam to blow out the piece. And that's how I'm going to get my round top. I usually blow them a little bigger than I want, and then I paper them, or we use paper in the graphite pad, but I paper it back into a shape I like. along pretty good. I'm gonna give this a little heat. So there's a lot of ways you can actually change the form quite a bit after you take it off of the blowpipe. Okay, looking pretty good. I just have to shape it up a little bit. Always want to keep your pads nice and wet. And I can also use this tool over here to help shape it. So it's looking pretty good. I'm not really happy with this little bump here, so I'm just gonna have to heat it a little deeper, and then I'll paper it or use that board over there to straighten it all up. I'm just kind of pushing that little ridge in. I just want a nice straight wall on this. That's pretty nice. Just gonna straighten it up a little bit. Basically, if the glass isn't moving, you're working it too cold. You really want to be able to work the glass always moving, so you're always turning it. But that's pretty good. And then I'm going to give it one more flash. And that's going to just kind of even out, trying to even out all the heat. It's going to give me a couple, 15, 20 seconds to set it. And then I can take it over to the annealing oven. And we're going to put it in the annealing oven, which is holding at 950, and cool it overnight. If we didn't put them in the oven and let them air cool, they wouldn't crack. They will explode. They would be under so much stress. And it depends on how thick it is. This can be cooled overnight. This is very thin. If this was solid, this size, it would probably take about 3 or 4 days to cool. So I'm just adding a little stress right to that punting mark. And with this knife here, I added a little stress to that. That's okay. And then I'm going to really gently tap my pipe, and it comes right off. Like I said, these will go in the oven and stay there for overnight. We can we'll take them out tomorrow morning. No, tomorrow afternoon they should be fine to come out. And the basic rule: if you can hand touch it, you can take it out of the oven. What the annealing oven does is actually take away all the stress in the glass that's created by hot and cold areas, and it's not even. So at 950, it's going to hold and then slowly come down overnight, and it'll be cold by morning. That's it. That's a round vase at the Glass Studio on Cape Cod. Thank you.